Hey guys, Comrade D. Luke, back with another One Piece review. This is chapter 1119. I'm going to try a few different styles with these One Piece reviews until I find something that works for me. Alright, getting right into the chapter, we got Stussy and Kaku talking. And CP0 has kind of been a strange element in this arc where a lot of people don't really think CP0 should be here. And like, what is the direction of CP0? Why are they back at all? After their cover story where they go and do their own thing for a while, it like seems like, oh, they're not even in the story, or they're going to come back and not be part of the world government. But it seems like they were pretty committed to going back with Egghead Island. But now it's seeming that like Kaku might betray the world government. He's kind of talking to Stussy. Yeah, Kaku's kind of saying, well, nothing will sway Lucci when he gets back. So it's not that he doesn't want to, but he's more so afraid of what Lucci will do, because I don't think me and Kaku don't think Lucci will betray the world government. He's a little bit too committed. But with Stussy's betrayal, Kaku might be swayed. Okay, this chapter has a lot more of this Bonnie Nika nonsense. And I think Gorosei Mars kind of elaborates this a little bit. He says, "Two Nikas, I see. She made a facsimile with her age powers." So he's sort of confirming that, yeah, this is more so just a appearance thing. She's not actually mimicking the full power set of Gear 5. Which makes sense to me. Like, that would be a little much if she was able to do that. One thing I really like about this chapter is how funny it is, because Luffy really goes and does some ridiculous things. It's almost like Return of Tank Man, where he goes into this big balloon form. He like tanks that attack from Mars, and then everybody kind of gets behind Luffy and like punches him so that he can then repel Mars, and like, you know, Team Rocket, we're blasting off again into the distance. Now, the one thing from this little interaction with the crew and Luffy and Mars that I did find notable is here where Sanji says, "Captain's orders are absolute, Bonnie-chan. Ifrit Jambe. Hell, memories." But what he's saying here, he's saying captain orders are absolute. Well, he's basically telling Bonnie already, like, you're following your captain's orders. What is that implying? It's implying that Bonnie's captain is Luffy, that she's already part of the crew, which has been like a big debate as to whether or not Bonnie will be a crew member or not. And I had always thought that like it was possible, right? It was always a likely thing, but this really is definitely confirming it in my mind. Like, the way that Sanji's talking here really tells me that like she's already being considered a member of the crew by the other crewmates. Now with Atlas this chapter, she's saying, you know, York is monitoring us. Lilith, we're... And then it cuts, but I'm kind of thinking that Atlas is saying they're a bit doomed here. They need to kind of make a self-sacrifice like Edison did a few chapters ago, where Atlas, or maybe just Atlas, maybe not Lilith, well, one of them is going to have to sacrifice themselves to ensure that they get away. The fate of some of these Vegapunks is a little ambiguous to me still. Alright, now we're kind of getting into the meat of the chapter where things are turning around and the Vegapunk message is coming back online. I was not expecting that. Let's see what he says. He says, nothing of the sorts. That's why that ceaselessly inherited aspect, we can call it a will. And to those that have suffered for this, I can only pray my voice reaches you. Yeah, so that's not super clear. We really get cut off when he starts talking about the will of D. And now when he's back on, he's starting to talk about inherited will, which is a really core concept in One Piece as a theme. So he must have dropped something relating to inheriting Joy Boy's will. He's referencing the members of the D-Clan. Now he's bringing up this inherited will, and he says, and to those that have suffered for this, I can only pray my voice reaches you. So I'm not sure what he's talking about when he says those that have suffered for this. Oh, actually, I think I know what he's saying. He's saying to those people that have suffered for this inherited will, this D will, I can only pray my voice reaches you. So he's doing a call out to all the members of the D-Clan, but his message to them was not transmitted, unfortunately. Well, if his message isn't over, it seems like he might drop some more things. My hope of an Emu face reveal and like a exposing of Emu to the world is still alive, which I think would be a really, really good way to end this. So both Vegapunk's message is back online and the giant robot is back up. And we learn that their name is Emeth, which I'm sure there's some symbolism behind that. That's not my job. Somebody else will figure that out. But there's a really epic panel of Gorosei Warkuri jumping into the water towards the Elbaf ship. He just looks super badass. And then Emeth emerging and doing this giant robot punch, smack in the face. He breaks off one of Workery's tusks and damages him pretty significantly. So I don't know if Emeth is using some sort of like advanced hockey technique here, or if it's just raw power. I don't know. There's going to be more elaboration needed to see how he's actually damaging the Gorosei, since Luffy earlier says that he can't even hurt these guys. Their skin is really tough. So this Joy Boy crew member Emeth is pretty strong, as we see. But yeah, I'm just really happy that he's back up. I thought it was kind of lame that he got down so quickly, but this is definitely what I was expecting. You know, the robot to kind of come in, clutch factor, beat the Gorosei, let the crew escape. And again, this chapter is really funny. The very last panel is Luffy geeking out about a robot. I always love that bit, where the male characters just like gush over technology and robots. If you remember with like General Frankie back in Fishman Island, good stuff. So this is definitely a transition chapter. We'll probably get some more crazy developments in the next chapter, but I still thought it was good. I'm thinking that we're pretty close to the end of this arc, and I'm going to do a more full, longer discussion video about my thoughts on the whole arc as a whole. I think the arc probably could have used a little bit more push and emphasis on Bonnie, especially if she's going to become a crew member. That's not saying that there's none at all, and I think the Kuma flashback was like one of the best segments in the entire story, which obviously gives Bonnie a really great backstory. And Bonnie's power set is pretty interesting, where she's almost like a mimic of other characters. She can like use certain techniques from Luffy, so she's like a mini Luffy. It's kind of fun. But yeah, definitely going to be controversial if she becomes an official crew member, especially if people like Kara and Yamato are getting the axe and somebody like Bonnie is getting in. There will be people not happy about that. I mean, my favorite Straw Hat candidate, Gaimon, was in this chapter, so maybe that's confirmation that he's going to join. I don't know. What I'm expecting for next chapter is maybe an official, alright, we're getting the sails flying, we're getting the hell out of here. Maybe the conclusion or the beginning of the conclusion of the Vegapunk message. Seeing Emu, seeing, you know, Dragon and Blackbeard and Shanks, maybe, possibly. Still wondering what Buggy is up to. Just to bring up some other things, we saw Sengoku and Tsurugi heading somewhere. They might be going to like Hachinosu to save Garp, or like going to take down the Cross Guild, since that's like a big antagonistic force to the Navy right now. And speaking about the Navy, we saw Smoker, and I actually missed something in my chapter review for that chapter where Smoker shows up. He had like a box that he was towing. I didn't notice this because it was kind of in the background of this panel, but he's like towing something across the water. I have no clue what that could be. But like I said, Smoker was at Egghead Island. Most likely. He was probably talking to Vegapunk earlier before the Straw Hats got there. So maybe Vegapunk gave Smoker something to like take away. But yeah, I don't know what Vegapunk would give Smoker necessarily. So I'll have to think about that more. Then the other big question I brought up in the last review, which is the fate of Bartholomew Kuma and Vegapunk. And with Atlas and Lilith kind of talking about maybe sacrificing themselves, the Stella body seeming pretty down and out, as well as Kuma kind of being pretty lifeless. It's not looking great for both those characters. I feel like Vegapunk might survive in the form of Lilith or something. Kuma though, it's not looking good for Kuma, I'll just say that. Especially if Bonnie's going to become a crew member, because like having a really tearful goodbye after the chaos of Egghead Island, like they get away and they're on the sea, or they reach Elbaf or something, and they try and revive Kuma, but it's not going to work and he's going to die. Bonnie will really have to reckon with like, well, where do I go from here? My whole quest was to like find my father, but now he's dead. Well, that's the perfect opportunity for Luffy and the Straw Hats to be like, you're welcome with us, like we're your family now, and like let her join the crew. I think that would be a good way to like officially have Bonnie join the crew. I think that's all for me. See you in the next video.